These are the new Nike Mercurials. They cost 250 euros and 270 euros, and that's a lot of money. And if you think it's too much money, well, then you're in luck, because Nike have now actually also released cheaper versions of the Vapor 14 and the Superfly 8, meaning that you can now get them down to 150 euros, 90 euros for the Academy, and 65 euros for the Club version. And today, I'm gonna explain all the differences between the Elites, the Pros, the Academy, and the Club, so you can figure out which of the new Mercurial boots are the right for your budget, and ultimately, which one you should buy. So just like last year, the flagship model of the Vapor 14 and the Superfly 8 is called the Elite. And as I said before, the Vapor 14 is 250 euros, whereas you pay 20 euros more for the Superfly 8. And since the boots are basically the same when it comes to the upper at least, you essentially pay that extra money for the color on the Superfly. So there's that. But unlike last year, Nike have actually introduced a new upper material, ditching the Flyknit upper and now introducing what they call Vapor Posit. It's basically something consisting of 4 layers. You have the inner layer, which is a soft suede inner liner called a Veil Q. Then on top of that, you have these different components, different pieces of Titan synthetic. On top of that, you have an engineered warp knit mesh, basically this grid-like component you can see here to give you a bit of texture, and everything is then topped off with a Duragon WT silicone layer to protect the upper against the weather. You also get a slightly redeveloped tooling, or outsole in normal people language, with a torsion bar in the middle to make it stiffer and slightly more responsive when you push off. And the Elites also give you this awesome anatomical fit, where you feel your feet are kind of slipping into the boot, being wrapped all the way around. What I really feel Nike have succeeded with this generation is to make it feel a lot like the previous generations of the Mercurial, but just with a slightly more barefoot and sharp and one-to-one sensation on the ball. So it's not a big revolution, but a nice refinement of what I thought was one of the best boots on the market. And I think that these still are. Now the Pros here are always interesting because historically, the first takedown of the Vapor has always been good ever since the Talaria days, and this is no exception. Now the Vapor 14 Pro is 140 euros, whereas the Superfly 8 Pro is 150. And just like last year, Nike have actually continued that very nice and slim and anatomical shape from the Elites as well. And they've also used, should we call it, more or less the same construction concept, where you still get a componentized upper. They've just done it with very different and, of course, cheaper materials, because 140 euros. So instead of having a nice suede-like synthetic liner on the inside and then it's stitched together with the Flyknit color, well, here you just have a circular knit tongue that then also runs the entire length of the inside of the boot, kind of functioning as an inner liner as well. And it actually works pretty well on the Vapor, because, on the Superfly 8 Pro, the dynamic fit color here feels a little thick and not very elasticated, and honestly a little bit cheap. And yeah, I'd probably ignore it and focus on the Vapor, because it's better and cheaper. On top of this inner knit piece here, you then have a synthetic that is a little bit thicker than the Titan synthetic on the Elites, but it's actually still pretty soft, I reckon, and you get the cutouts, you get the different colors and graphics, so it kinda tastes like the real deal. On top of that, you have this grid component, and as you can see, it's a little bit more open and not as tight and compressed as on the Elites, meaning that you don't get as much stability from it. And Nike also had to cut the nylon band and the extra tight weave around this speed band on the midfoot, which means that obviously the Pros don't have as awesome lockdown as the Elites. With that said, you get the pull tab on the heel, which is nice, I guess. The outsole also looks and feels a lot like the Elite with this anatomical footbed, but of course, different materials, so it's not as stiff or responsive. But then again, this is almost half the price of the Elite, and I reckon there's a of value for money, especially in the Vapor 14 Pro. And it kind of genuinely feels like Nike really sat down and wanted to do as close to a one-to-one recreation of the Vapor 14 Elite with cheaper materials. I reckon they've done that because this is pretty good. Probably the best takedown there is, to be honest. Then we have the Academy boots, which are just 80 euros for the Vapor Academy and 90 euros for the Superfly 8 Academy. And yeah, that's cheaper, again, than the Pros, which also means that Nike again had to find a way of saving money while still making the boots as nice as they could. So what they've done is that you don't get this really cool componentized upper anymore, but what they're giving you is a 3D molded synthetic leather upper, meaning that, as you can see, it is very, very soft, and you still get a lot of the same texturing that you got on the Elites and the Pros. Now, one of the other things that has been sacrificed is the fit, meaning that the Academies are a little bit wider, more relaxed and less streamlined and speed boot-like compared to the Elites and the Pros. Now, Nike have also spent money on a nice heel liner, and then of course their MG tooling we see once again, which is nice because you can use it on both natural and artificial pitches without having to worry about durability and warranty or a lot of injury risks because the studs are nice and rounded. What else? Oh, of course, the Superfly has a knitted color once again. It's a two-way stretch material, which, if I'm honest, it's kind of cheap again. So once again, I would focus on the Vapor because it's nice and soft, it's pretty light, and it feels pretty comfortable. Of course, you won't get the same amount of stability or lockdown or responsive sensation, but hey, it's 80 euros and it looks, at least somewhat, like the Elites on a good day. So. Then we have the Club, which is a lot like the Academy, but then just a lot cheaper again. And yeah, they don't look great, do they? But with that said, it's an okay boot if you just want the cheapest possible entry-level boot, or if you're looking for a kid's boot, because it has a relatively soft padded upper and a good stable full-length outsole, which is nice if you're growing, have really wide kids' feet, and it's got a really high heel collar that's really supportive and gives a bit more stability, which is something that you would look for in a kid's boot. And yeah, okay, it doesn't look particularly fast or that much like the Elites, but you still get some texture, and they're only 55 and 65 euros. Yeah. Now you know about them at least. So my friends, the new Nike Mercurial range, and I think it's fair to say that we have some pretty solid options here. I'll also be honest, I'm a little disappointed with the Academy that just, it's a nice upgrade, but it just still feels a little bit cheap. However, on the other side of the spectrum, we have the Vapor 14 Pro, which is, it's awesome value for money, guys. And if you can live with not having the best of the best, because let's be honest, the Elite is the best of the best, then this is probably what I would recommend most people go and buy if you are on some sort of a budget. But which version of the Mercurial do you want to get? Let me know in the comment section right down below, and then you can actually go and buy all of these, Superflies included, from the link to unisportstore.com right over there right now. Of course, also don't forget to go subscribe to our channel with the notifications on to get a little ding every time we drop a new video, and then you can go and learn some wicked skills in the playlist right down there. With that said, I'm signing off. Cheerio.